Hey guys, welcome back to Classifying Triangles. So we're going to kind of just review what you guys did on Tuesday, which is we talked about classifying a triangle means that you have, you can do that with the angles that you see. So if there's one right angle in that shape, then you have a right triangle. If there's one obtuse angle, you have an obtuse triangle. But in order for it to be, I didn't mean to do that. In order for it to be a acute angle or an acute triangle, it has to have three of those acute angles. So all of the angles in a triangle would have to be acute for it to be an acute triangle. You were supposed to complete this slide. I believe it was this slide. And we're just going to go over it really fast. So if you remember, all obtuse angles should be red, blue angles should be blue, and green angles should be, acute angles should be blue, and green angles should be right angles. Oh my gosh, I'll get it together in a minute. So you should have taken these and just circled. So like this one, this red, I am making a big mess. So that should have been I just messed up. Sorry. Let's start over. Okay, acute angles are blue. So all of your acute angles, you are going to move to put blue around them. So this top one is a blue acute angle. This one down here is a blue acute angle. It's not very friendly with me today. And then you're going to take a green one, and it was a right angle. So this is just what yours should have looked like on top. Well, then you can just go back and count the colors. Did we put any red circles? We didn't, because there was no obtuse angles. Acute angles, we had two blue circles, which means we had two acute angles, and then we had one green circle, so one right angle, which means if we go back to our slide above, if you look at the very top, if there's one right angle, then it's a right triangle. So since we had at least one right angle, that means this one has to be a right triangle. If you go back over here, you're going to do the same thing with your colors. So if there's any obtuse angles, do we see any obtuse angles? Should I have any red circles? No. So I'm going to go ahead and fill that in. Now, if you look again, are there any acute angles? Do I need to put any blue circles? So I would need a blue circle here, a blue circle here, and a blue circle here. So how many acute angles does that leave us? 3. And then are there any right angles in that shape at all? No. So that means you'll have 0 right angles. So if we go back and refer to our slide above, it says that if there is 3 acute angles, that means it's an acute triangle. So that means we're going to go back here and we're going to say that this is an acute triangle because it had 3 acute angles. Today we are going to look at, so that was just a review. Today we're going to look at classifying those triangles by sides, like the length of their side. So this first one says a triangle with 2 sides that measure the same length. That means it's going to be an isosceles triangle. So these are just some vocabulary terms that you're going to need to know. So it's isosceles if it has 2 sides that measure the same length. A triangle with 3 sides that measure the same length is going to be equilateral, kind of like it all equals together, so it's all equilateral. And then if they're all different, so a triangle with 3 sides that measure different lengths, those are going to be scalene. So scalene, they're all different. Isosceles, 2, equilateral, all 3, and scalene, none of them have different lengths or the same length. So this is for you to go back and refer to. Isosceles, 2, equilateral, all of them are the same length, and a scalene means none of them are the same length. So those are the types of triangles with those 3 different things, or those 3 different length sides of lengths. Oh my gosh, we'll get it together. Number of sides that measure the same length. Remember when we were talking about the quadrilaterals, if they have these little tick marks on them, it's kind of helping you notice that those are the same length, because it's hard when you don't have a ruler to really measure them. So a lot of stuff online might have these little tick marks to show you which sides are the same. So this has a tick mark here and a tick mark here, and it says the number of sides that measure the same length. So since we have a tick mark on this side and we have a tick mark on this side, that means we have 2 sides that are the same length. So if we go back up to this one and we say, well, which of these tell me that 2 of them measure the same length? Well, it would be this first one. So you're going to go back and you're going to say, well, that was isosceles. So I'm going to take the isosceles and I'm going to drag it over. So two sides that measure the same length, the type of triangle is an isosceles. Now the number of sides that measure the same, how many sides here measure the same length? Do you see any tick marks? No. So that means there are no sides that measure the same length. So if we go back to our previous slide, which of these tell us the name of the triangle where none of the sides measure to be the same? Scalene, this bottom one. It says a triangle with three sides that measure different lengths. So that means none of them on this triangle measure the same length, so they are scalene. Look at this last one. There are how many tick marks? How many of the same size? 3. So that means there are 3 tick marks. All 3 sides measure the same. If we go back to our slides up here, you can see the equilateral triangle means that all 3 of those sides are the same. So you will say equilateral 3. We're going to go ahead and go down here. So you can reference or go back and look at any of these previous slides. So you can look at the slide 4. Well, you can look at any of them, but slide 4 tells you the definition and the type of triangle it is. This one kind of gives you it's the definition again with that, depending on which form you want to look at better, which one helps you. And we're going to look over here. So I'm going to start with this one. So it says classify this triangle by the sides. So scalene, equilateral, or isosceles. So I see, I'm going to give you a second and you can pause the video or you can wait just with me for a minute. I want you to think about how many tick marks you see, how many equal sides there are, and then what type of triangle you think it could be. There are 3 equal sides. Those blue tick marks kind of help us. So it's saying that all of the sides are equal. They all are the same length. So if we go back, if we can't remember and we go back, and it says this last one says number of sides, all of these sides right here measure the same length. And it told me that it was an equilateral triangle. So I'm going to move this one right under the equilateral one. Okay, if I bring this one over, what do you think? How many sides are equal? None. So if there are no sides that are equal, then which type of triangle is it? It will be scalene. That means all the sides are different. And then last one that we're going to do together for this slide. What do you think? How many sides are equal? 2. So you have this one that goes right, oh gosh. This one and the very bottom one both have a tick mark. So they are measuring the exact same. So when I say that there are 2 sides that are the same length, which type of triangle is that? It is isosceles. So scalene, different, equal, they're all the same equilateral, and then isosceles is 2. Today, what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and finish slide 6. So finish placing all of these shapes down here at the bottom in the correct place. Then this is going to look familiar to you. We did this on Tuesday. So same, this tells you the measurements. So if I have 2 inches, and 2 inches, they all measure the same. So which one are these? 10 inches, 10 inches, and 12 inches. So 2 sides measure the same. Which type of triangle is it? And you can refer back to anything that I've done with you previously to help you. So you're going to go through and just move that red circle to wherever you think that it belongs. Then on the very end, this is kind of going to be your last check. So you're going to classify it by angle and then classify it by side. So what type of angles do they have? So is it right? I'm going to do this first one with you. Is there any right angles? There's not. Are there any acute angles? If so, how many? Were all 3 of these angles acute? No, there is one obtuse. So remember, when there's one obtuse angle, and you can refer back to all the way up here, there's one obtuse angle, it means it's an obtuse triangle. So that means in this box, I'm just going to write obtuse triangle. And over here, we're classifying it by the length of the sides. So how many of these sides are equal? I've got 10 inches, 7 inches, and 4 inches. So are any of those sides equal to each other? No. So that means it's a scalene triangle. And if you couldn't remember that, you can go back up here and you can see in the middle, it says if there's no sides that measure the same length, it is a scalene triangle. You're going to finish these last 6 squares, and then I'm also going to post a YouTube video of a fun little song that'll help you remember some of these triangles as well. Have a great day, guys.